And moving to Africa, torrential rains and floods have ravaged parts of the continent. Eastern Africa is grappling with a devastating deluge, which has destroyed infrastructure, flooded fields, and impacted livelihoods. At least 200 people have died across Tanzania, Kenya, and Burundi. For a region that is already grappling with the dire effect of climate change, the floods are only going to make the situation worse. Our next report explains the details.
Flooding can be particularly catastrophic for communities. Almost every year, regions of Africa are hit with heavy downpours resulting in floods. These floods, in turn, bring death, destruction, and an outbreak of diseases. In recent days, torrential rains, floods, and landslides have battered towns and cities across eastern Africa, especially in Tanzania, Kenya, and Burundi. At least 200 people have died and dozens have been injured across the three countries. For a region that's already grappling with the dire effects of climate change, the floods are only making it worse. In Tanzania alone, around 155 people have died. It's more than double the number of deaths reported just 2 weeks ago. Incessant rains have affected some 200,000 people and upended the country's infrastructure. Farms, roads, buildings, and bridges have suffered extreme damage. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of homes were also destroyed, and some were even swept away. Tanzania's weather department has warned that heavy rains and strong winds are likely to continue in the coming days. Now in Kenya, the military has been deployed to rescue victims. This was after President William Ruto called an emergency meeting to respond to the flash floods. So far, at least 45 people have died and thousands have been displaced. Large parts of the capital Nairobi and other major towns are underwater, which has sent residents scrambling for shelter.
We are at a loss for where to begin with our current situation. We lack both food to feed our children and clothes to wear. Our utensils have been washed away and our homes are filled with mud. Some areas have even lost their iron sheets. We are stranded and unsure of what steps to take next. We desperately need assistance.
The floods come on the heels of months of drought that had left millions across Kenya facing acute food shortage. Kenya's meteorological department has now warned against the breakout of diseases such as malaria. In Burundi, people are struggling to cope with the aftermath of torrential rains. Thousands have been displaced, while many schools and homes have been damaged.
Since last year, the rain and the water levels have been rising here. Little by little, the land is getting waterlogged. Now, it has reached this level and we have never seen it this bad. It's terrible. It's the first time I've seen it like this in my lifetime.
The relentless rains have pushed up the level of water in Lake Tanganyika, which has further caused chaos for communities living along its shores. Climate experts say flooding in Burundi and elsewhere is due to extreme weather conditions like the El Niño weather phenomenon. El Niño is a climate pattern that's associated with causing unpredictable weather worldwide. While in some parts of the world it brings severe drought, other parts suffer catastrophic rainfall. Analysts add that while climate change may be a trigger, improper infrastructure and land planning are exacerbating the situation in East Africa. Now, as residents deal with nature's fury, the devastating floods only underscore the need for an urgent response to mitigate the impact of climate change on vulnerable communities.
From impeachments to inaugurations, if it's a political story, we are on the scene. The race for the White House is heating up.
We're beating Biden.
How dare he say that?
If it's breaking news, we're live with the latest coverage. From the White House, the State Department, and Capitol Hill, we know the issues, but above all, we know the players to bring you the latest in-depth analysis on all the key stories that we're covering. I'm Eric Ham. Join me from Washington here on Firstpost America.